I don't want to lay this number. I am still freaking
Hmm.
pissed at myself that on Monday, you and I were looking at two books in America that had Auburn minus 7.5. And you said, what do you think? And my dumbass said, let's wait. And then by Tuesday morning, it was out to 8.5, and now it's 9 in a lot of books. So I'm not laying 9 when we could have laid 7.5, 8. I think the best play related to this game is Auburn to win the next two games, and you can lay minus 130. That's a really good bet, in my opinion.
Is there a number that you would take live? I only asked this because last night Duke closes 9.5. And we weren't that far into the game where they were about even. Let's say the score was like 15, 16, something like that. They were in that range. They were going back and forth. And that number was already 5.5, 6.5. Like if it gets to early in the first half, which could easily happen, let's say if it gets to under 7, would you be in with, let's say, half of the first half to go? Is there a number where you would say, okay, I like Auburn at that number?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'd rather not really sweat the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do my thing. It's Friday. You know I love my Friday. So I don't really want to have to live sweat or live bet the game. I feel really good about Auburn winning today. And that's sort of the key in that bet to make the Final Four. Do you think Michigan's gonna win tonight?
Nope. Nope.
And I think it's so funny that perceptionally, Michigan against UC San Diego. We're in Vegas. Paul and I are at dinner with a huge group. They bet San Diego down to 2. It was Michigan minus 2 against UC San Diego. Everybody bet San Diego. And then everybody faded Michigan in the next game against Texas A&M. So now, after Michigan wins outright twice, now they become the public darling, and the numbers moving away from them. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing happened with with Bama and BYU. Everybody bet against Bama because Bama didn't look great in the first two games. BYU did, and that line went from 3.5 to 5.5. And Bama beat the snot out of them. In terms of where the number was and where the number is in this game, I get similar vibes. Auburn opens lower. Auburn gets bet up out to 8.5, 9, but Michigan is getting all the tickets. That's not good, and that's why I like Auburn Final Four minus 130.
I'll probably lay the 8.5. That's where I'm at before we
Okay.
lose this. It has been going in one direction, and it's been heading north. The best team that Michigan has faced all year is Michigan State. They faced them twice in Big Ten play. They lost by 13. They lost by 17. After them, you can make the argument Maryland probably or Wisconsin. They split against Maryland, but they haven't seen a team like Auburn and what they do at both ends of the court. They haven't. Michigan can dominate the twos. As big as they are, they're the fifth tallest team in the nation. They're top 20 in 2-point percentage offensively and defensively. They can dominate that. Here's another thing, though, with Auburn. Yes, they've won their first two tournament games handily. They took care of Creighton last. Okay, that was a little more impressive than the first game that they were handled. Broome hasn't done anything. He's averaged 11 and 11, and we know there is so much more there. It kind of reminds me a little bit with Sears.
Yep,
Sears couldn't hit
exactly.
an outside shot in those first two games, and then here we go in the round of 16, and he just explodes. I think we could see that out of Broome and Auburn tonight.
Sears had 22 against Robert Morris, 12 against St. Mary's, 34 against BYU. And I did not just add the first game to the second game. It just worked out that way. 22 and 12. Where's your
Wow.
calculator, Michael Felder?
Solar.
22, 12, and then 34. So he racked up the same output from the first two games. He did that in the third game. I was going to read it off your lips. Sears, Broome. This is the time, and I think this is the spot for another SEC favorite.